Part 95. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 968. Zhou Mikang turned around and left, and Chu Xia quickly followed. Wang Jing, keep an eye on it, I'll be back in a moment, Song Xiao confessed and quickly chased after her. Wang Jing shrugged her shoulders. It seems that it is better not to get married. There are too many things and too much trouble. Just at this moment, her sister-in-law Wang Lei came. Seeing that she was sitting there, she asked doubtfully, "Why is it just you? Where are Director Song and Lin Chuxia?" Feeling petty, Wang Jing deliberately made a grimace. "Sister-in-law, I just listen to you and have to give in to everything. But now the teacher only takes Lin Chuxia with him during the surgery and not me." Stunned for a moment, Wang Lei frowned. "Song Xiao shouldn't be such a person. Xiaojing, did you really apologize? Are you serious?" "Of course." Wang Jing nodded her head vigorously. "I'm serious. Do you want me to recreate the original image for you to identify?" Wang Lei waved her hand. "Forget it, my sister-in-law believes in you, but I guess Song Xiao is testing you by showing off to you like this. You have to stand up to me and don't let your chain slip anymore." "Okay," Wang Jing responded and laughed. "Sister-in-law, I'm teasing you." The teacher just went out. "By the way, why are you here at this time? You don't trust me, right?" "I went to the post office to send something, and I happened to pass by here, so I came to see you and give this to Teacher Song." Wang Lei raised the red silk bag in her hand. "Your Teacher Song's daughter loves the bean buns I made the most." This was obviously done on purpose, otherwise, who would bring a bag of bean bags when sending something? Wang Jing looked at Wang Lei amusedly. "Sister-in-law, you don't even draft a lie. Besides, sister-in-law, have you noticed the change in your title just now?" "What changes?" "When you first came in, you called me Teacher Song. I heard that she was hanging me up. You quickly changed it to Song Xiao. When I told you it was a joke, you changed it back to Teacher Song." Wang Jing said. He stepped forward and took Wang Lei's arm. "Sister-in-law, this discovery makes me very happy. It shows that my sister-in-law values me very much." "Am I like that?" Wang Lei scratched her head and smiled sheepishly. "I really didn't notice it myself, by the way. Don't tell Teacher Song about this, otherwise, she will be angry with me." "I don't believe her." "I'm not stupid." After hesitating, Wang Jing said, "Sister-in-law, Wang Feng is here." "Why is she here?" Wang Lei frowned. "Who's sick?" "Her eldest aunt." "What happened?" "There is a tumor in my stomach, and I will have surgery tomorrow. Teacher Song is the surgeon, and I am the first assistant." Wang Jing said and sighed. "I really don't want to see her. Can I find a way to get her away?" "You want to make things difficult for me." Wang Lei rolled her eyes at her. "It's rare that she has some humanity, so let her serve you. If you don't like to look at her, don't go there. If she dares to make trouble with you, you don't have to pay attention to her. If she gets angry, you can beat her, and my sister-in-law will take care of you." "Sister-in-law, just give me some advice," Wang Jing said with a funny look on her face. "I am a medical staff. If I really beat her, I will get a demerit. How can I help my sister-in-law?" "Yeah, how could I forget this?" At this time, Song Xiao came back and saw her old classmate with a happy face. "Wang Lei, are you here?" "Yes, I'm here to give you this, and thank you for always caring about Xiaojing," Wang Lei said and handed her the silk bag. "This bag is particularly delicious, you must like it." "Then I'm not welcome." Song Xiao happily took the silk bag and took out 2 bottles of malted milk essence from the cabinet. "Here are you, you look thin, you need to make up for it." "I'm not here to take advantage of you." "I don't want it." Wang Lei stretched out her hands and hid behind her. "If you do this again, I won't cook for you in the future. By the way, my niece is here to stay with me. I'll go over there. Have a look." After the words fell, The person disappeared outside the door. Song Xiao shook her head in amusement, put the malted milk essence into a silk bag and handed it to Wang Jing. Take it back to your sister-in-law. Teacher. Wang Jing hesitated. You have been with me for such a long time, you should know what my personality is like. Besides, this was originally given to her. I brought it here after the last phone call. Wang Jing smiled sheepishly. Obviously, the teacher knew her sister-in-law better than she did, so she never expected that her sister-in-law would definitely come. Zhou Jingping finally woke up from a series of nightmares. He sat up sweating profusely and saw Chu Xia wiping his hands with a hot towel. His face turned red. I'll do it myself. Dad, are you dizzy? Chu Xia asked. It's okay. Zhou Jingping felt so embarrassed that he couldn't tell whether he was dizzy or not. Zhou Mikang left first because he had something urgent to do. He asked me to talk to Dad, Chu Xia said again. Okay, I'll go back right away. No, Chu Xia stared at him seriously. Dad, what I said may be a bit presumptuous, but the starting point is for Dad's health. If there is anything wrong, please forgive me. Zhou Jingping nodded. Okay, you go ahead. Has Dad always had nightmares since my little sister left? Zhou Jingping's red face turned pale little by little. Obviously, he didn't realize that his daughter-in-law would ask this. Without mental preparation, he didn't know how to respond. Dad, why don't you tell everyone what's in your heart? If you keep holding it in like this, you will have physical problems sooner or later. Chu Xia sighed. Professor Yuan gave you an examination and he said that you have a tendency to be mildly depressed, which causes the fundamental reason is that you haven't had enough rest for a long time. Hey, Zhou Jingping sighed heavily and smiled bitterly. It's much better now. I used to have nightmares all night long. Now, I only occasionally dream about Rao Rao being kidnapped. Chu Xia, don't tell your mother. And your grandma, don't tell Xiaomi, so as not to make them worry. Dad, you should tell Zhou Mikang that this has been a knot between you and him for so many years. His pain is only on the surface, but you have always kept it in your heart and suppressed yourself. You may think that doing this is to protect your loved ones, but I don't think so. What do I think of my loved ones? It means sharing joys and sorrows, being happy or unhappy, and saying what you can and cannot say to others can be said to your loved ones. Maybe when you say it, your loved ones will be sad together, but it will enhance the relationship between the two parties and make you more clearly aware of the flesh and blood relationship between you. If you had let your family know this a long time ago, Zhou Mikang probably wouldn't have hated you for so many years, and he wouldn't have let it go now, but the knot in his heart has not yet been resolved. Dad, if what I said wronged you, don't be angry with me. I really think so. If I don't say it out and do my best, I feel uncomfortable. Good boy, you are doing it for Dad's good. How can Dad be angry? Zhou Jingping's mood calmed down and he smiled at her. Let Dad think about it, okay. Chu Xia smiled and nodded. Okay, Dad, sometimes, it is also a kind of closeness to relatives. You know a lot at such a young age. Zhou Jingping smiled and shook his head. It seems that I really can't treat you like a child. Really? Chu Xia smiled arrogantly. Dad also thinks I'm mature and sensible, right? Zhou Jingping laughed dumbly and really didn't know what to say. Dad, your health is fine, but you need to be recuperated. Western medicine is more harmful to the body. Professor Yuan went to see Ma Lao from the Department of Traditional Chinese Medicine. He told me to accompany you when you wake up. Otherwise, let's go now. Okay. Zhou Jingping no longer refused, responded happily, and got out of bed. Chu Xia was shocked and supported him. Dad, this is not a war. Can you slow down? Did you feel dizzy just now? Did you feel like vomiting? No, no, Zhou Jingping smiled and waved his hand. Dad is not that squeamish, let's go. When the two men were going out, they met a man and a woman walking over. Seeing Chu Xia wearing a white coat, the man smiled and asked, "Comrade, how can I get to the surgery department?" "Just turn left ahead." Looking at the two of them, Chu Xia asked doubtfully, "Where is the injury?" "I was walking when a comrade hit me with a bicycle. I had a headache at the time, but now it's nothing." I said it's okay, but he insisted on coming to see me. I was in a hurry to buy groceries. The woman said as she wiped the runny nose with a handkerchief. Noticing her movements, Chu Xia's pupils shrank sharply, and then she looked at Zhou Jingping. "Dad, you go to the traditional Chinese medicine department by yourself. I'll send this comrade to Jingzhe, and I'll come find you later, okay?" "Okay, you go ahead." Zhou Jingping looked at the man and the woman with some confusion. It seemed like nothing was wrong. "Come up and lie down, hurry up." Chu Xia dragged the operating bed next to her and asked the woman to get on. "Little comrade, what are you doing?" The woman's face became fierce. "Even in a hospital, you can't curse people like this. I'm not seriously ill. How can you make me come up here? It's almost the new year." "Oh, how can you do things like this?" the woman said, turned around and walked out. "I'm fine, I won't check, I have to buy groceries quickly." "Hold her." Chu Xia looked at the man. "Why are you still standing there? Hurry and hold her." "Ah," the man was stunned for a moment, then turned around and grabbed the woman. "Kiazu, this doctor is so anxious, it's for our own good. Don't worry about checking and leaving before leaving. Don't hold back. Are you looking forward to my early death? It's almost the Chinese New Year, and you have to let me go to the hospital to feel comfortable." The woman was so angry that she pinched the man's fingers hard. "I said there is no need to check, so there is no need to check. I know my own body, otherwise, I won't let the person who hit me go." The man looked at Chu Xia hesitantly, not knowing what to do. He just heard his wife complain about a headache and was afraid that something might happen, so he pulled her in. But judging from how energetic his wife was now, she should be fine. Domain name of this book, please tell each other to promote it. Thank you. Use the Ctrl+D shortcut key to bookmark it. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 969. Second update. Hee. Yinger moved in with a smile. "I just want to tease my little aunt, hee. Have you finished your homework?" Chu Xia pointed to the empty seat next to her. "If you're done, come over and chat with us for a while." "Little thing, you're only in the first grade and you've been so busy all day long that you can't see anyone. Is it true? Or are you just pretending?" "Of course it's true." The little girl sat next to Chu Xia and said seriously, "Other students are not so busy. Chen Lu and I have to represent the class in the oral arithmetic competition, so we always have to stay in class and have to go home. Practice, little aunt, I actually want to play with you, but I also want to get first place and let my little brothers and sisters worship me." Chu Xia smiled and patted her on the shoulder. "I knew our Yinger was the best. When is the competition?" "Next Friday." Yinger looked at Chu Xia eagerly. "Little aunt, can you go with me?" "I don't want Uncle Seven to accompany me." She was talking about Zhou Huikang. According to the ranking, Zhou Huikang was the seventh child. "Why?" Chu Xia looked at the little girl in confusion. "Uncle Seven kisses you so much, why don't you want Uncle Seven to accompany you?" "My classmates all said that I participated in the competition because teacher Tian was partial." The little girl pouted aggrievedly. "But I really can calculate faster than others, and they wronged me." For a moment, Chu Xia didn't understand this dialectical relationship, so she looked at the little guy in confusion. "What does teacher Tian's partiality have to do with Uncle Seven?" "Teacher Tian has fallen in love with Uncle Seven and wants to be his wife." In early summer, there was an instant black thread. A kid who is only a few years old actually knows what he likes and dislikes. "I am really impressed," Children in this era are really precocious. Sitting on the other side, Josei has long since stopped laughing. A 6-year-old child talking about adult topics in a serious manner is really too funny, isn't it? What I said is true. I didn't accuse anyone wrongly, and I didn't lie. Really. The attitude of the two people made the little girl feel even more aggrieved, and anxious tears welled up in her eyes. I believe it, of course I believe it. Josei hurriedly reassured, then do you think this is a good idea? Originally, my aunt asked for 4 days of leave. In this case, if she stays to accompany you to participate in the competition, she will need to ask for a few more days of leave. Aunt will call the school tomorrow and then decide whether to accompany you to the competition, okay? Yes, the little girl nodded, still looking gloomy. Little aunt, does your teacher like you? Josei on the other side interrupted, Ying-er, your little aunt is so good looking and has good grades. Of course the teacher likes her. Don't worry, she will definitely be able to ask for leave. Really? Ying-er looked at Josei with surprise on her face. Little aunt, you can definitely accompany me, right? The child's mind is so simple, and he will let whomever he likes accompany him. I won't consider anything else. Yes, originally, Josei didn't want to stay here for so many days. After all, it took too long to take leave, and there would always be people making irresponsible remarks. However, looking at the pitiful look on the little girl's face, she really couldn't bear to refuse. As for the thoughts of Miss Luo who caused the trouble, it is easier to understand. She wished that Josei would take a break from school now and stay with her here. After receiving the affirmative answer, the little girl was extremely happy. I'm going to tell Uncle Seven that my aunt will go with me, so he doesn't have to go. After the words fell, the person had already disappeared. Josei looked at Josei with a guilty conscience. Don't blame me, this child is quite pitiful. I know you will definitely agree, so I will help you speak. Okay, how can I not understand your little thoughts? Josei sighed. Besides, I really can't refuse her, but it is definitely impossible for me to accompany her myself. I. Josei pointed at herself anxiously. I can go with you then. Josei curled her lips at her. Are you sure you can ask for leave? Director Sue is so busy, how dare you take such a long break during your wedding leave? I can go to work first after getting married, and then take leave when Ying-er competes. A trace of sourness flashed in Josei's eyes. In early summer, I was a loser. I used to hope that I would develop well. I can make my parents proud of me, but now that the opportunity is really in front of me, I am not happy at all. Most people in the unit don't like me. They think that I can stay because of Director Sue's help. Of course, I don't deny this, but they can't completely veto my efforts. I especially miss the time when we first came to City A. Although it was difficult, we all lived and ate together, and we could discuss things with each other. Even if we were bullied, we could work together to make amends. But now, I can only face everything alone. Sometimes I pick up the phone and want to talk to you, but I am worried that you will be angry and affect the baby. I want to write a letter, but I am afraid that others will see it. It is impossible for me to tell my parents and brother about these things. Meijun and Ernie also have a lot of troubles. Telling them will only make them more troubled. After all, I can only hold it in my heart, but sometimes, I can't hold it in so much that I can't breathe. I'm really looking forward to giving myself a holiday, so this time, you'll be like me. That's what you mean, okay. I thought you had completely adapted to it, but you are still confused after a long time. Josei looked at her helplessly. Is the high-spirited look you had before just an act? I'm used to it, hee. Josei smiled sheepishly. If I show signs of sluggishness in the workplace, those people will look down on me even more. So, no matter whether I'm happy or not, I will always look the same in front of them. I am in a state of chicken blood, and I just want to make them feel that their comments have no effect on me at all. I'm almost mad, and it doesn't work at all. Chusia looked at her speechlessly. Is the one who always bullies you the same woman I met when I came here last time? No, Luo Xiaoxian shook her head. I can't say which one it is. Everyone is polite to me on the surface, but no one wants to really date me. Can you understand that feeling? It's... She paused and thought about her words before continuing. It's that feeling of being among many people but dying of loneliness. Seeing everyone laughing with you, you can clearly see the despicable look in their eyes towards you. They all say hello when they meet, and you can feel their disdainful curling of lips even if you don't step out. When I go to the toilet, I can hear other people talking about me, but I can't really go up and argue. Anyway, it's a similar feeling, the feeling of being hostile to everyone, but you really want to say who is hostile to you. But couldn't find one. Hey, Chusia sighed. Of course she could understand this feeling. When she first came to this time and space, she had a similar feeling, being in a lively crowd but feeling lonely to death. It was Luo Xiaoxian's closeness to her that allowed her to integrate into this era little by little. Therefore, this girl was something she would be grateful for in her whole life, so of course she had to accompany her through this difficult time. Xiaoxian, tell me the truth, do you have any plans for your future? Chusia looked at her seriously. You also know my brother's character. If you continue to work hard like this, as his wife, one day you will become the envy of others. So, I want to know, what is your truest thought in your heart? Is to stand side by side with my brother, or do you just want to be his good wife? I don't know either. Luo Xiaoxian looked confused. I really hope that I will have a good development, but sometimes I will be overwhelmed by this environment and feel very unhappy. I also ask myself, would I be happy just being an ordinary woman, standing behind Zhao Liang, shrouded in his halo? Turns out I couldn't find the answer. I know very well that even if I have no development, my father-in-law and mother-in-law will not dislike me, and Zhao Liang will not dislike me. However, I feel that if I am so worthless, I will become farther and farther away from you. Anyway, I'm almost conflicted now. Hey. Sighing, Chusia held her shoulders and patted her. I can understand your mood. In fact, your current mentality is mainly because the relationship with your colleagues is too bad, or, looking back, you discuss with Director Su and help you change your environment. Her current arrangement seems to be a bit counterproductive. Yes. Luo Xiaoxian nodded repeatedly. I feel the same way. Although I have fully adapted to this job now and can do it well, but because of Dean Su, everyone's requirements for me it will be higher, and the pressure I put on myself will be heavier, and then... She spread her hands. It's so stressful that I'm almost going to suffer from depression. Then it's settled. Chusia shook her head helplessly. When I saw you last time, I asked you how you felt, and you said you liked this job very much and you were very qualified. Have you been lying to me all this time? Luo Xiaoxian, if you play tricks with me again in the future, don't blame me for falling out with you. I have told you many times that whether we are together often or not, the relationship between us is different from others. Is it difficult? Do you really think I'm just joking to make you happy? In other words, I have always been pretentious in thinking how good we two are, but in fact, in your eyes, we are just ordinary friends, right? Oh, in order to let this guy put down his psychological burden, he used all kinds of provocations. Is it easy for her? R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 970. 1 update. Don't be angry. Seeing that Chu Xia was really unhappy, Luo Xiaoxian looked sarcastic. I didn't want you to worry about it at first, but now I really can't hold it in anymore. Otherwise, I still don't want to say it. After all. She pointed at the other person's belly. After all, your actual situation is here. She then tugged at her hair in frustration. So I'm still too immature, saying that I don't want you to worry about it. I couldn't help but say it out loud, alas. Go away, Chu Xia glared at her. If you continue to talk to me like this, I'll pretend I don't even know you. Hee hee. Luo Xiaoxian smiled flatteringly. No, we are the best, and we will be together forever. Chu Xia looked at her speechlessly, really not knowing what to say. However, after talking like this, the layer of alienation between the two people completely disappeared. Since they went to the capital in early summer, although the two of them still wrote letters and made phone calls frequently, Luo Xiaoxian still felt a little uncomfortable because Lin Mengran, Yang Xiaoli, and Wu Jingbo were around her in early summer. Otherwise, she didn't have to wait until today to say what she had been holding back, or she herself felt a change in her mentality. However, even if she was aware of this, she was unwilling to admit it. To put it bluntly, she was jealous and petty. In her opinion, Chu Xia was originally the closest to her, but gradually, she became the marginalized one. Even though Chu Xia told her countless times that the relationship between them would not change, she still felt unsure. Of course, she can't be blamed for this. She doesn't know why Chu Xia is interested in her lover. Considering Chu Xia's previous personality, it's reasonable for her to have doubts. Quick, quick, quick. Looking at the time, Chu Xia pushed her anxiously. Hurry up and wash off the mask. I was just talking to you and forgot to look at the time. If I applied it to my face a little later, my work would have been in vain. As soon as the two of them washed their faces, Yinger came back and looked at them with a smile. Uncle Seven agreed to let my aunt accompany me, but he won't go. Okay, I don't have anything to worry about now. You can go wash your face and go to bed. You have to go to school tomorrow. Children have to go to bed early and get up early to grow taller, Chu Xia said as she took her hand and walked out, turning around and rushing back. Luo Xiaoxian looked in the mirror and ordered, you take a shower first. Third sister-in-law Chu Xia came out of Yinger's room and met Zhou Huikang, who smiled sarcastically at her. Now I have to ask my third sister-in-law to accompany Yinger to the competition. I'm really embarrassed. What's the point of being embarrassed? Aren't we all one family? Chu Xia teased him with a smile. Can't you tell, seventh brother has a good relationship with the opposite sex. Zhou Huikang's face turned red. Sister-in-law, don't listen to Yinger's nonsense. There is nothing between teacher Tian Tian and me. In fact, teacher Tian Tian just told me about Yinger's study situation, and the children were just messing around. Are you the one picking up Yinger now? Chu Xia asked in confusion. Well, most of the time I pick her up and drop her off. Xiaojing is not in a good mood. Grandma doesn't dare to let her go out to do errands by herself. Aunt Wang needs someone to take care of her now, and my dad doesn't have time. Yinger is a bit sensitive, so it's the best person to pick her up and drop off. The right candidate is naturally me. Oh. Chu Xia nodded suddenly. I wanted to ask about Xiaojing's situation before. From what you say, is it true that she and Zhang Jun are not getting along? Yes, Zhou Huikang nodded. Zhang's mother specially accompanied Zhang Jun to our house to apologize. She said that marriage is a lifelong matter. She felt that their personalities were not very suitable. She didn't want everyone to regret it in the future. Please forgive us. Having said that, we can't force Zhang Jun to marry Xiaojing, but everyone in the circle where they caused trouble knows that Xiaojing feels embarrassed and easily loses her temper when she goes out to do things. Now grandma only dares to let her clean the house, and doesn't even dare to leave cooking to her, for fear that she will put the wrong things in, which will cause big trouble. If her ancestors hadn't been serving the Zhou family, Xiaojing would definitely have been fired. Now that she is left here, she is clearly just remembering the old love. Xiaojing still has too little to deal with. In terms of the other party's character, it would be a good thing for her to break up early. Sighing, Chu Xia changed the topic back. By the way, I have to ask you, how do you feel about that teacher Tian Tian? Don't think I'm nosy, I'm afraid that I won't have a good attitude when I accompany Ying'er to participate in the competition. Third sister-in-law, she and I really have nothing to do with each other. I just think of her as Ying'er's teacher, and she thinks of me as Ying'er's parent. Nothing else really matters. Besides, third sister-in-law, do you think I'm a philanderer? Okay, then I have a few things. Chu Xia waved to him. I'm going back to my room to rest. See you later. See you later. Zhou Huikang apologized again. Sister-in-law, thank you for your hard work. I really feel embarrassed. Okay, mother-in-law, are you a big man? Chu Xia turned her back and waved again. I won't bother you anymore. I'm tired. I want to rest early. Hearing this, Zhou Huikang quickly flashed back to his room. What a joke! If the third brother knew that he dared to talk to the tired third sister-in-law, would he be skinned? Early the next morning, Lin Wenbin rushed back as expected. As soon as he entered the door, he asked Chu Xia how she planned to arrange the day. He would be responsible for being her driver. Seeing his tired face and dark circles under his eyes, Chu Xia hurriedly said, "Brother, you go to rest first. I won't go out in the morning. In the afternoon, we will pick up Fat Aunt Gang Shun and Uncle Gang Shun." "Why do you need to pick her up?" Mr. Zhao looked at his grandson with dissatisfaction. "You are not an outsider, why are you running around with such a big belly? Just wait at home." Mrs. Zhao quickly answered, "Xia, listen to your grandpa, if you really go, your uncle, aunt, and Fat Aunt Gang Shun will definitely feel sorry for you." The other elders didn't say anything, but they all looked at her blankly. The meaning was too obvious. So Chu Xia had no choice but to agree. She waited at home and asked Luo Xiaoxian to accompany her to pick her up. Lin Wenbin was really tired after attending meetings these days and driving back early. After chatting with everyone for a few words, he got up and said goodbye and went back to the room to rest. After walking a few steps, he turned back and told Chu Xia to call him immediately if anything happened. "Wake him up." Chu Xia looked at him helplessly. "Brother, I don't keep my word, and I won't be polite to you. If you are worried, go to bed." Lin Wenbin didn't believe her, and looked at Zhou Huikang. "Old Qi, help me keep an eye on her." Early summer. The Zhou family helped arrange the things needed for the marriage, so Luo Xiaoxian no longer needed to go out to do the work. She didn't want to hold it in at home, so Chu Xia asked her to accompany her for a walk. When passing by Yejia Hutong, Luo Xiaoxian turned her head to look over reflexively, and then poked Chu Xia. "Hey, why do I look so much like Daodu?" Looking in the direction she pointed, a figure walking over from a distance really looked a bit like Jun Daodu. Originally, Chu Xia didn't want to stay in front of the Ye family, but now, she had to stay. As a result, she happened to be bumped into by Chiang Yuxian, who was coming out to throw out garbage. Chiang Yuxian, who originally didn't look very good looking, looked even more ugly when she saw Chu Xia. "What are you doing here?" After all, the other party was an elder. Chu Xia smiled politely at her and pointed at the figure approaching from a distance. "We want to make sure whether that is our friend." With a cold snort, Chiang Yuxian turned around and entered the house. Luo Xiaoxian sighed. "What kind of mother raises what kind of daughter? How do you think she has the right to treat you like this? If you really think about it, your attitude towards her is pretty much the same. My daughter's death is uncertain, so let's not worry about it." Chu Xia said while pulling her forward. "It's Daodu. We are just taking a walk anyway, so let's go over and have a look. When they met, Chuxia and Luo Xiaoxian both looked surprised. Jun Daodu's hair was soaked with sweat. What's wrong with you? Chuxia frowned and looked at her. Don't tell me that you and I are dating again. Your mother had a fight. Let me go to your house for a drink first. Okay. As soon as she opened her mouth, Jun Daodu's voice became hoarse, and Chuxia and Luo Xiaoxian hurriedly turned back. Jun Daodu's appearance shocked everyone in the Zhou family. They were about to get married, and running over sweating profusely at this time. It was definitely not because of exercising. He took a large glass of water and drank it in one breath. He breathed a long sigh of relief. Jun Daodu smiled apologetically at everyone. Grandpa Zhou, Grandma Zhou, Grandpa Zhao, Grandma Zhao, excuse me. Mrs. Zhou smiled and waved her hand. Child, what are you being polite about? If it's inconvenient, you and Chuxia can go back to her room to chat. It's not inconvenient. In fact, when it comes to this, I also want to hear the opinions of the elders. Biting her lip, Jun Daodu told the story. After she went home accompanied by Zhou Hanliang last night, her mother still didn't look good on Zhou Hanliang's face. Although she said she agreed, her mother's heart was still stuck. After Zhou Hanliang left, she discussed with my mother whether she could stop being like this. Things had already come to this point, and it was she who proposed the marriage, not Zhou Hanliang. It was unreasonable to show such shame now. Mean. Then he used Aunt Fat and Uncle Gang Shun as examples, hoping that my mother could open up like them. As a result, she stirred up a hornet's nest. Her mother felt that her daughter was doing her a disservice by comparing her to a few uneducated rural people. Disrespectful. Jun Daodu was not happy with what her mother said. She felt that her mother was feeling good about herself and being snobbish, so she ran away from home in a fit of anger. R1152. First Marriage Then Love. Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 971. Second update arrived. No, don't let her guess. Wang Qi, the eldest granddaughter-in-law of the Ding family, quickly answered, twins are actually not much harder than one. Brothers and sisters, don't be afraid. Sister-in-law, you gave birth to only one child, how dare you say that two children are not as hard as one? That's one more little person. Without waiting for Chuxia to answer, Li Miao quickly denied Wang Qi's statement, with a hint of in a questioning tone. Wang Qi frowned. I gave birth to one child, but when I went for prenatal check UPS, there were people who were pregnant with twins and triplets. I asked them how they felt. What they told me personally could be false. Li Miao said, unconvinced. Everyone's situation is different. How can I be so sure? Sister-in-law, third sister-in-law, do you agree with my statement? Do you agree with her statement? With the black line at one end in early summer, could it be that I was still hoping that my pregnancy would be more difficult? At this moment, Li Miao also realized the loopholes in her words, and quickly made up for it. Sister-in-law, I'm not saying that you will suffer more when you are pregnant with twins. What I mean is that everyone's body is different, and the situation will naturally be different. But no matter what, it's definitely right to do more checks and pay more attention, right? Yu Tao frowned and said, first, Li Miao, I don't want to listen to what you say. Any conflicts between you and Wang Qi are between you. You can't use my siblings as an introduction. As he said, pulling Chuxia, Xia, let's go to Mom and Grandma's place. Okay. Chuxia stood up obediently and sat next to her mother-in-law with her. When she didn't see Mrs. Zhou, Yu Tao asked doubtfully, Mom, where is Grandma? It's up to you, Grandma Ding, to see the baby. Lin Yangkai was talking to the Ding family's daughter-in-law, the mothers-in-law of Li Miao and Wang Qi. Seeing that her eldest daughter-in-law didn't look good, she immediately turned away from her and said with a worried look, Tao son, where do you feel uncomfortable? Mom, No, Yu Tao quickly smiled and shook her head, then looked at the daughter-in-law of the Ding family. Aunt Ding, my sister-in-law is pregnant with twins, which is a great event, but your Li Miao's words are really not nice. If it were any other time, I wouldn't have said anything, but during the Chinese New Year, we came to pay New Year greetings for the sake of happiness, not to cause trouble. My brothers and sisters are generous and don't care about it, but I can't help but care about it. If I do something meaningful, please forgive me for any inappropriateness. In my impression, Yu Tao has always been quiet and without temper. Moreover, because of the Yu family's family background, she has a little inferiority complex. But today, for her sake, the other party actually looked after Zhou Mikang's character. Chu Xia looked at each other stupidly, her eyes full of emotion. Lin Yangkai did not expect Yu Tao to behave like this. Although she was full of joy in her heart, she had to put on a show on the surface, so she deliberately glared at her eldest daughter-in-law. You kid, I've really spoiled you, how can you talk to Aunt Ding like this? How could Aunt Ding not know what Lin Yangkai meant, so she smiled bitterly and said, Sister-in-law, where do you want me to put my old face like this? Look at your two daughters-in-law, and then look at my two daughters-in-law. Hey, from now on, I'm really too embarrassed to see you. Brother and sister, don't say that. Lin Yangkai smiled and held her back. The children should handle their own affairs. As elders, we don't get involved. My tower is straight-tempered, so don't take it to heart. Sister-in-law, I will definitely give you an explanation for this matter. After a pause, Aunt Ding added, but Li Miao's temperament is to take soft things rather than hard ones. In 2 days, I will take her with me. In 2 days go to your house and ask her to apologize to the third daughter-in-law in person. No, 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 let this matter go as it is. My eldest daughter-in-law considers the third daughter-in-law to be her biological sister. I can't bear to see her suffer any grievance. Just don't blame her for being ignorant. There's no need to apologize. I have them all wrong, everyone is wrong. Aunt Ding just smiled with a bitter look on her face. People said it was all wrong, but she just gave her a way out. She couldn't take it seriously. Hey, if her husband knew about this, he would probably explode. Mom. Wang Qi came over, called his mother-in-law, and looked at Lin Yangkai apologetically. Third aunt, I'm sorry, it's me as the boss who didn't take the lead. If you want to blame, blame me. Where's Li Miao? Aunt Ding asked, suppressing her anger. Go back to the room. Wang Qi bit his lip and still found an excuse for the other party. She said she was too embarrassed to see the third aunt and her family. Does she still know that she has no face to see people? Aunt Ding snorted coldly. If she knew this, she wouldn't be able to talk nonsense just for her own sake. It's my fault, I should have let her go, Wang Qi said again. At this time, Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Ding happened to come out and saw the two daughters-in-law chatting hotly. The two old ladies looked happy. Although the two old men were pinching each other, they got along very well. Of course, I hope the juniors can get along with each other. Knowing how much her old lady valued her daughter-in-law, Lin Yangkai quickly winked at Chu Xia, who greeted her with a smile. After greeting old Madame Ding, she took her arm and said, Grandma, isn't the baby cute? Cute, so cute. By this time next year, our family will have 4 babies. Including Xiangping's, there will be 5. If Xiaofeng and Xiaji are also pregnant. The old lady took a breath as she spoke. Grandma, now I'm just looking forward to celebrating the new year next year. Look at this old lady, she's so happy that she can't even find her answer. Old Lady Ding said with a smile, I will definitely go to your house next year to enjoy the joy. You said that in your Zhou family, this person is Ding Wang? When I talk about it, everyone's eyes turn red with envy. What a blessing. Still thinking about old Mrs. Zhang, old Mrs. Zhou stopped sitting and greeted everyone to wait for the next house. Aunt Ding, who followed behind, had a bitter look on her face. It was rare for father-in-law and Uncle Joe to cross the border this time. The conversation went smoothly, but the little daughter-in-law caused such a big trouble again. "Yanhua, what's wrong with you, old Mrs. Ding," who was returning home after seeing off the Joe family, looked at her daughter-in-law's somewhat ugly face. "Aren't you jealous when you heard that she was pregnant with twins?" "Mom, how could I think that?" Aunt Ding sighed and reported what happened just now to the old lady in a low voice. The old man probably couldn't hide it, but the old man had always been shy about the old lady, so the old lady told him, still relatively good. As soon as the daughter-in-law finished speaking, Mrs. Ding's face turned black. "Why didn't you say it just now?" She did not suppress her voice. "Mom." Aunt Ding looked at her mother-in-law with some embarrassment, not knowing what to say. "What's wrong?" Mr. Ding looked over and said, "It's outrageous that the guests started making noise just after they left. It had only been a month since we last met." Old Mrs. Zhang was so thin that she was completely out of shape. When she saw the Zhou family waiting to enter the hall, her dull eyes quickly focused. "Soldier, Minjiao, are you here?" Mr. Zhang was older than Mr. Zhou, so Mrs. Zhang called Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou by their first names. The couple quickly responded and sent a lot of auspicious words. All the younger generations also came up to say hello one by one. Zhang Shui ran out first, looking at everyone with eyes filled with gratitude. Because they had long known that the Zhou family was coming, brothers Zhang Amen and Zhang Aguo were waiting at home. For fear that the old lady would become suspicious, they all deliberately did whatever they had to do as usual, and now they all came out to welcome her. After everyone finished greeting each other, they sat down and chatted. When they learned that everyone had just come from the Ding family, the topic turned to the Ding family's grandson, and then to the Zhou family's plan to have a new child. Old Mrs. Zhang has always liked Chu Xia, but today she was not particularly affectionate to her. She even got up and moved her seat when Chu Xia sat next to her. Worried that Chu Xia would misunderstand, Yu Tao quickly whispered in her ear, "Grandma Zhang doesn't have any objection to you. She cares about her illness and doesn't want to be too close to you." I know Chu Xia's voice was choked. Zhang Shui was wrong, but Mrs. Zhang was actually an old lady with a very good character. In an instant, she didn't mind the whole family coming to see Grandma Zhang. In fact, Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou really wanted to stay at Jiang's house for lunch, but that would be too deliberate. Therefore, they declined each other's attempts to stay and left, but they agreed to Jiang's stay. "My family, on the 15th day of the first lunar month, we all went to watch the lanterns together. When we went out, Lin Yangkaiu took Zhang Shui's hand and left. After leaving the Zhang family, everyone was in a bad mood. People are the most powerless in the face of life and death. Brother Zhou, sister-in-law, I'm sorry." Mr. Ding suddenly appeared out of nowhere, startling Mr. Zhou and Mrs. Zhou, who were walking in front. "What's wrong with you?" Mr. Zhou unconsciously reached out to touch his forehead. "Are you confused by the fever?" The other party called him Brother Zhou. It was 40 years ago. That time it was because he was shot in the thigh while trying to save his life. Thinking of this, Mr. Zhou's face became serious. Could it be that something big happened again? Already? "Brother Zhou, sister-in-law, it's because of my lax upbringing and failure to manage the juniors well. If you still let me be your friend, go to your house for lunch and ask me to apologize in person." It was rare that Mr. Ding did not argue with Mr. Zhou and kept his posture extremely low. Mr. Zhou's expression became even more solemn. He could not think of anything that could make the other party become like this, so he cast an inquiring gaze on Zhou. "Old lady." Mrs. Zhou also looked puzzled. Seeing the old man looking at her, she shook her head, indicating that she didn't understand anything either. Lin Yangkaiu, who was originally a little dissatisfied with this matter, saw that Mr. Ding had such a low attitude. The resentment in her heart had long since dissipated a lot. She quickly stepped forward and whispered the previous incident to Mr. Joe and Mr. Joe. MRS. The two treasures in Chusea's belly are more valuable than pandas to Mr. Joe and MRS Joe. Therefore, when they heard that the Ding family's granddaughter-in-law used her own treasure as a gift in order to compete with her sister-in-law, Rake, the expressions of the old couple immediately darkened. Ours. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 972. Popular recommendations. For synchronous reading on your mobile phone, please visit. Updated today, more updates starting tomorrow, and more the day after tomorrow. Don't forget to check it out. Lan Alien sighed and glared at her daughter with dissatisfaction. You are already making such a fuss, and you still ask mom why you want to let it go. Why was mom reluctant before? Isn't it just that you are worried that your life will be difficult in the future? Well, if mom stops you again, you don't have to wait until later. Your life will be difficult now, so why bother to stop her? You don't understand the feeling of being a mother at all. Forget it, mom won't tell you anymore. When you have a child in the future and you have conflicts with the child, you will understand how mom feels. Of course I know that mom is doing it for my own good. If I didn't even know this, I would be a fool. Hugging Lan Alien, June Daodu smiled fawningly. Mom, I'll accompany you. You go back together. You have to go back with mom. Kyoakyo is worried to death at home. Kyoakyo didn't sleep last night. You kid, ugh. Lan Alien sighed and said goodbye to everyone again. When everyone accompanied the couple to go out, they happened to bump into Johan Liang, who had just gotten out of the car. The other person was stunned for a moment, forced out a stiff smile, and after saying hello one by one, he froze there again. Why are you here? June Daodu asked. The teacher has left a document at home. I'll come and get it, Johan Liang said while looking at Chusea, sister-in-law. The teacher said it is on the cabinet beside your bed. Oh, I've seen it. Chusea turned around and went back. I'll go up and get it for you. Luo Xiaoxian grabbed her and said, just stay here and I'll get it. Okay, you go. Chusea stopped obediently and smiled at Johan Liang. Xiaoxian slept with me last night, she also knows where she is. Johan Liang said quickly, thank you, sister-in-law. Why are you being so polite? Chusea scolded, then asked, you have to be busy with work in the afternoon, right? Yes, the teacher is not here. If I am not here anymore, it will be inappropriate. Johan Liang smiled apologetically at Lan Alien. Mom, I can't help you at home. I'm so sorry. There is nothing to do at home. Daodu and I will call our relatives when we get back. You can just go about your work without worrying about us. Lan Alien's completely different attitude from before made Johan Liang stunned. He looked at June Daodu with some doubts, and the other party smiled sweetly at him. Mom has forgiven me for making my own decisions. Don't worry, the wedding will be a perfect success. Really, Johan Liang looked at Lan Alien in disbelief. Mom, are you really willing from the bottom of your heart that we will get married now? Yes, Lan Alien smiled and patted him on the shoulder, but I need to trouble you to take us two back home. She looked at old MRS Joe. Aunt Joe, don't bother the driver at home, I'm on a trip, I just happen to be on my way, so I won't waste any time. Okay, of course, old MRS Joe agreed. The whole family should get in touch with each other and discuss some things. How could she be so cold-blooded when it was something that could be accomplished with one stone? At this time, Luo Xiaoxian also returned, took the folder, and Johan Liang got into the car and left with Lan Alien and June Daodu. Now I can finally feel relieved. Back in the hall, Luo Xiaoxian let out a long sigh of relief. I have always been worried about the awkwardness on the wedding day, but now I don't have to worry about it anymore. Ayo. Chu Xia stretched her hand forward, and it happened to collide with the cup brought by Xiaojing, and all the slightly hot water was poured on her arm. I'm sorry, third young mistress, I'm sorry. Xiaojing hurriedly wiped her hands and apologized. Zhao Yulan had already rushed to grab Chu Xia's arm, and asked anxiously while looking at it, is it too hot? Dare you? Roll up your sleeves. It's okay. Seeing others gathering around, Chu Xia hurriedly explained, it's not actually hot, it's just that I wasn't prepared, and it shocked me when it poured on me. I'll just go back and change clothes. Third young mistress, I'm sorry. Xiaojing's face turned pale as she apologized to Chu Xia, but her eyes were looking at old Mrs. Zhou, her eyes full of pleading. This is not the first time she has made a mistake. She knows how precious the old lady is to her granddaughter-in-law. Just because she didn't punish her before doesn't mean she won't punish her now. At this moment, her heart is really panicked. The clothes were so wet and stuck to her body that it was really uncomfortable. Chu Xia went back to the room first. When she got dressed and came out, she saw Xiaojing kneeling at her door. As soon as she saw her, she immediately knocked her head down and said, Third young mistress, please forgive me, I don't want to open this family, I don't want to get married in my life, I want to stay here and take good care of my family, third young mistress, please. What do you mean? Chu Xia looked at the other party inexplicably. She didn't say anything harsh or say what she was going to do to her. Was she so scared? Or an old lady? As soon as this thought came to her mind, Xiaojing confirmed it for her. The old lady asked, let me go back to my room to rest. Third young mistress, I didn't mean it, really. I know you didn't mean it. Chu Xia frowned and looked at her, but why did you come to my door and kneel down? Grandma asked you to rest because she was worried that something would happen to you if you were in a trance, and she didn't say anything. I won't let you hear any more. Why are you anxious? I. Xiaojing was speechless. Indeed, the old lady didn't say not to let her do it, but when she heard those words, she reflexively thought that she was asking her to go back to her room and wait. If you keep it, you will have to choose someone else to use it later. Because of the breakup of the engagement, she is already a joke in everyone's eyes. If she is demoted to another place, what face will she have in front of everyone in the future? Seeing her pitiful tangled look, Chu Xia sighed, don't think about it now. Go back and have a good rest. If anything happens, we'll talk about it later, okay? Thank you. Third young mistress Xiaojing stood up and went back to her room obediently. Grandma, what do you mean by this? Chu Xia went downstairs and looked at old Mrs. Zhou in confusion. If she goes up to kneel, you let her kneel. Is this a test of me or of her? If I stop her, she will feel even more unsure. Hey! Old Mrs. Zhou sighed, she has made too many mistakes recently. I can't pretend that nothing has happened. If everyone is like this, why should I? Aren't you in a mess? In early summer, it suddenly dawned on me that this was just a pretense to show off to others, and it also established her prestige in this family. I believe that even if she had just suggested a solution, the old lady would have agreed. After a long morning of hard work, she was indeed a little tired. After chatting with the elders for a while, Chu Xia took Luo Xiaoxian back to her room to rest. When the two of them were called up to have lunch, Lin Wenbin was already sitting in the hall. Chu Xia was fine, Luo Xiaoxian looked embarrassed, smiled, and didn't know what to say. She originally wanted to lie down with Chu Xia for a while, but she didn't expect that she passed away as soon as she fell asleep. It was so embarrassing. Seeing Luo Xiaoxian's flushed face, Chu Xia smiled and comforted her, it's okay. I took you to take a lunch break together. No one will laugh at you. This kid, what's the matter? Lin Yangqiu stepped forward and hugged the two of them. When I was your age, I loved sleeping in the most People say that people who like to sleep in are kind-hearted, so they say, this is a good thing. Chusia heard a black line, what nonsense is this? However, her mother-in-law was so open-minded about Luoxian for her own sake, so she said calmly, what mom said is that only those of us with good intentions can sleep in late. This is an advantage and something to be proud of. Luoxian didn't know what to say at this moment. Fortunately, Mrs. Joe quickly changed the subject and attracted everyone's attention, and finally relieved her. Mom, are you moving your family here? Luoxian looked shocked as she looked at the big burdens her mother unloaded from the car. She turned to her parents-in-law and saw another one. The hills. Now that we have allocated a house to you, your mother-in-law and I have brought over all the things you can use now. Before we could make the quilt, we brought over the cotton and quilt cover. We will definitely give it to you tonight. Do it. Your mother-in-law wanted to rush to iron your wedding clothes last night, but I stopped her. You two are both soldiers, so just wear military uniforms. There is no need to wear wedding clothes, right? Yes, Luoxian answered while reaching out to look through the pile of dumplings her mother had piled up, including pots, pans, clotheslines, etc. They were all available. The fat aunt pushed her daughter, your mother-in-law's place is filled with clothes and food. Come over and take a look. Don't hang around here. She will soon be the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family. You have to be more careful. People treat you no matter how good you are, you can't just stare like an idiot. Didn't I say hello just now? Luoxian was speechless. Chusia was already over there, so she came here specifically to accompany my mother, so as not to make her feel uncomfortable because she was not a good student. Unexpectedly, my mother, it was so easy to think that he started to drive her to her husband's house. In front of another car, Chusia looked speechless as she watched Li Aiwan and Zhao Yushan unloading the items piece by piece. It wasn't like her uncle and aunt didn't know the situation here, so why did they even bring needles, thread, and brains? Xia, what you have over there belongs to you. Besides, it's your mother-in-law's house. My uncle and aunt can't be so ungrateful. If you can bring it, you'd better bring it yourself and feel at ease. Li Aiwan smiled and rubbed Chusia's head. I guess your husband's family won't be willing to come over now, right? R1152. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 973. Popular recommendations. For synchronous reading on your mobile phone, please visit 1 update. And, you really think too much. Chusia reached out and pulled Zhao Yulan, who was talking to Zhao Kiwi. Mom, Aunt is worried that I will be rejected by my husband's family. Please talk to Aunt. When I come over, I or your in-laws unhappy. No, Zhao Yulan said quickly. Originally, Xia was going to pick you up at the station, but our parents didn't agree. After everyone left, Xia sat there wilting, so Aunt Joe asked her and we came here together. Chusia's mother-in-law and her second aunt wanted to come over to help, but Aunt Joe stopped them, saying that their arrival made everyone uncomfortable. The Joe family was preparing quilts and mattresses for the occasion, and they were delivered after they finished their work. Sister-in-law, just keep it in your heart. Arsiake pleases her husband's family, how can she be disliked by her husband's family? You two, just fool me. Li Aiwan looked at her dubiously. Xia is already such an old month, and the Zhou family loves her so much. Now she is running around here and there, how can I be happy? I don't believe it. That's really what happened. Xia looked at her with a smile. If you don't believe me, if you see my old lady and the others later, ask her face to face. I know I can't do that. Lee Aiwan sighed helplessly. Anyway, it's already here. Whether you dislike it or not, it's already like this. What's the difference between asking or not? Of course there is a difference. If you ask, you will feel at ease, but if you don't ask, you will feel uneasy. Chu Xia giggled. Auntie, I hear what you want. When Xiaoxian is pregnant, you won't be able to let her run around. You kid, why did you get involved with me? Li Aiwan glared at her. Besides, our family's situation is different from that of the Zhou family, so naturally we don't have so many rules. Sister-in-law, actually, although the Zhou family is many generations better off than us, they really haven't set any rules for their children. To be honest, the Zhou family's treatment of Shuxia is really the same as your treatment of Xiaoxian, even. Glancing at Fat Aunt, Zhao Yulan lowered her voice and said, even the Zhou family is much more tolerant to Chu Xia than you are to Xiao Qiang. Of course I believe this, otherwise, the Zhou family would not be able to allow Xia to go to school with a big belly, let alone you to accompany Xia and take care of her. I'm worried that her husband's family won't be happy, but I think the Zhou family is treating Xia too well. I don't want them to be unhappy because they are worried about Xia's health and can't stop her. Auntie, I have a great body, Chu Xia said while reaching out to hold Li Aiwan's wrist. Try this strength, it's not much worse than Sister Kiwi, right? Zhao Kiwi, who had been standing aside and listening silently, shook his head in a funny way. It's just you competing with your second sister. Comparing with me, it's really worthless. As he spoke, he waved his wrist in front of Chu Xia. It's just you. Those little arms have the nerve to stretch out, but you are really courageous. Chu Xia automatically missed Zhao Kiwi's ridicule to her, and the topic turned to Wang Maifeng. How is the second sister doing now? Have you found a suitable husband's family? You two sisters go chat in the house, and we will clean up here slowly. Li Aiwan glanced at Chu Xia's belly and said angrily, you don't know how to take care of your body at all. Do you think you are like others right now? Auntie, I'm not a clay figurine now, nor am I made of porcelain. I'm not that cute. Chu Xia muttered like this, but she obeyed and went back to the house with Zhao Kiwi. The new house is a 2-room building, with the bedroom inside and the living room outside. The bedroom is 18 square meters and the living room is 16 square meters. In later generations, it will be quite crowded, but in this era, being able to get such a house is already considered a big deal. Very good. After looking around, Zhao Kiwi sighed with emotion. Xia, I really benefit from you. With his age and qualifications, even if he gets married, he won't be able to get a house like this. Chu Xia looked at her in confusion. How do you know that others can't share it? She really didn't have any idea about this matter. She just felt that in this era, houses must be divided anyway, so it is normal to divide such a small house when getting married. Bar. My brother is not the only one in the village who has gone out to serve as a soldier. There are people who are older than him. They have stayed outside and got married, and they are still separated from their wives. I can't even get my family members to join the army. It is said that it will take a long time, years. I don't know what level to reach, I just know that I'm definitely not qualified. That's it? Then I'll go back to my room and thank Zhou Mikang. He didn't mention it to me, so I really didn't know about it. Chu Xia smiled sheepishly. I always thought he didn't find a better house for me. You. Zhao Kiwi nodded her forehead. You are really dissatisfied. How come you are so lucky to meet Mr. Zhou? I think he is really not an ordinary pamperer towards you. To be honest, when we first met, I thought this man was so sullen and unsmiling and difficult to speak. He was really annoying. When I found out you were marrying him, I was worried. Although the conditions are considered to be high, it is not a life for a person to live in a marriage and be criticized. I never expected that he would be so good to his wife. If nothing else, just asking you to go to school while pregnant with a child is something that most people can't do. Without his conditions, even if the conditions in our county are far worse, it's impossible to let your daughter-in-law act like this. When your uncle and aunt talked about it at home, they became very worried. They were afraid that if they agreed, they would feel uncomfortable and treat you badly when the child was born. However, I don't have this worry. After meeting me a few times, I feel that my brother-in-law is not that kind of person. Since he has promised you, he will definitely treat you well. However, you have to be careful and don't always have your own way. Come with temper. When a man treats you well, it means he really likes you and is willing to care for you. But if you are always like a child who has not grown up, his patience will be gone, and you will be the one who suffers. My sister's words may not sound good, but if you think about it carefully, you will find it reasonable. In this world, no one owes anyone anything. You can't ask others to treat you as they should be, but you don't repay them. Sister, I have been admitted to college. This level is really extraordinary. I can talk in one way. After a few jokes, Chusia straightened up and said, Sister, don't worry, I'm not ignorant. Some things are taken for granted because I really don't understand them. So as I grow older and more experienced, I will definitely know more and more things, and I will definitely make more common sense mistakes like this. Come less and less. As for my going to school, many people do not understand and think I am being unreasonable. However, I do this in the hope that there will be fewer conflicts and disagreements in the future. It is true that Joe Mikang is very kind to me, but after a few years or more, if I just stay at home and be an ordinary housewife, or find a light job to dawdle, the relationship between us will not be the same. What it will look like I'm not sure. Moreover, in the eyes of many people, me marrying Joe Mikang is simply climbing a high tree. My parents always feel that they have no confidence in their hearts. Even if it is to make them feel proud, I have to live up to my expectations. Of course, I don't even know how far I can go, but as long as I work hard and strive for it, one day I will get what I deserve. To be more realistic, marriage is an exchange of equal value. The more I ask for, the less respect I will get. If I want to be respected by others, I must also have capital that can be requested by others. For this reason, I must work hard. Zhao Qiwei looked Chusia up and down with a smile. She didn't say anything for a long time, and finally looked at Chusia. Sister, what are you doing? Do you want to scare me to death? I'm wondering, is this still my little cousin? After a pause, Zhao Qiwei continued, when I'm free, I wonder, why can you change so much all of a sudden? Not only your personality, but also your knowledge, thoughts, etc., seem to have improved many times at once. If someone told me before that you would become like this, I would only think that they were joking. Xia, you are really, it's like being reborn. Hey, it's not a rebirth, it's a soul change. After laughing twice, Chu Xia quickly changed the topic. Look at the way our question went. We were originally going to ask about the second sister's business, but why are you talking about my business? Previously, Wang Meifeng and Zhao Qiwei studied together to take the college entrance examination. The result was that Zhao Qiwei passed the exam and Wang Meifeng failed. It is estimated that she failed the exam and started to worry about marriage again. This question will only come up in early summer. Meifeng's side is a mess. Originally, the Chiang family broke off the engagement and wanted to find another career. But after Chiang Junja was transferred back, he and the woman broke up not long after they got along. Looking back, he looked for Meifeng again. At first, Meifeng gritted her teeth and refused to marry him, but after several blind dates and not meeting anyone she liked, her thoughts changed again. During this time, I was spending time with Chiang Junja. Every Sunday, Chiang Junja would go to his aunt's house to find Meifeng, or Meifeng would go to the county to find Chiang Junja. Anyway, the two of them haven't settled down yet, so they're going to get along like this for the time being. The aunt is unwilling to do so. She thinks that such a man will be able to abandon Maifeng if he encounters trouble in the future. But the eldest uncle and Maifeng's grandparents were very happy, and felt that it was right to choose that way. Now that she can want to marry Maifeng again, it is Maifeng's blessing. Why? It's quite a headache to meet such a confused father and grandparents. Your uncle and aunt don't agree with this either, but they are outsiders after all, so they can't say anything more. I didn't expect it to be like this. After being stunned for a while, Chu Xia asked again, where is the second sister herself? Has she told the eldest sister what she is thinking? Zhao Qiwi sighed, Maifeng has talked about this with me. She said that she is now with Jiang Junjia and it is no longer the same as before. It is because she likes him and really wants to be with him. She just felt that she was getting bigger and bigger. If she delayed any longer, she might get worse and worse, so she might as well drag Jiang Junjia with her first. If she met a good one in the future, she would dump Jiang Junjia. If she didn't meet him, just get married. R1152. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 974. Popular recommendations. For synchronous reading on your mobile phone, please visit. Second update. Second sister's character is still the same. When something happens, she will just focus on the present without caring. Chu Xia let out a long sigh and didn't know what to say. Actually. After a pause, Zhao Qiwi smiled bitterly. Actually, if I hadn't passed the exam, she wouldn't have been so anxious to get back together with Jiang Junjia. It's not like you don't know her competitive character. She was holding her breath. She wanted to compete with me, so she thought that since she was younger than me and a teacher, she would definitely do better than me in the exam. However, the result was completely different from what she imagined, and naturally she couldn't accept it. But speaking of it, she has changed a lot from before. Putting aside the past, after I pass the exam, she will never associate with me, even if we meet. He should also have a gloomy face. But now, she not only went to see me, but also talked to me about her true feelings. She also admitted that she felt uncomfortable because I passed the exam but she didn't. She said she was a little jealous of me, but she still hoped that I could do well. Bring glory to our Zhao family. Chu Xia nodded. Indeed, she has improved compared to before. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked her about it. It's not like the eldest sister doesn't know how bad I used to be with her. Zhao Qiwi laughed. She asked me to give you a message, saying that she didn't admit defeat and that people will grow up in this life. You two are really born to be incompetent. Whoever crosses her, she just looks down on people. She thinks that I was not as good as her in everything before, and it is a huge piece of shit luck that I have reached this point now. Sister, I dare to say this, she is hoping for the best for you, but she is absolutely hoping for the bad for me. If I have any bad news, she will be the happiest. If you don't believe me, you can go back and do an experiment. When you meet her, tell her that Zhou Mixang doesn't want to talk to me now. I'm very unpopular in my husband's family. She must be very happy. Hearing what Chu Xia said, Zhao Qiwi laughed. Okay, I'll give it a try when I get back to see if you are too prejudiced against her, or if I have too high expectations for her. What about you, sister? What's wrong with me? Zhao Qiwi looked at Chu Xia with a confused face. Don't you know everything about me? What else do you want to ask? Stop pretending with me. Chu Xia rolled her eyes. You know exactly what I'm asking, but you're still pretending to be dumbfounded. But I know you don't need to answer. It must be the Wen family that accepts you, right? Well, it's really a headache for you to become so smart. Zhao Qiwi smiled helplessly. As you can tell, as soon as he heard that I was admitted to college, the Wen family immediately stopped objecting to me and the article. It's a matter of time. Moreover, We specially sent a matchmaker to come to our house to propose marriage, but your aunt blocked her from going back. When John will come to our house every once in a while. What will happen in the future, I can't say now. Auntie did a good job. Chusia had a look of hatred on her face. You dare to be picky. We don't care about such a family. Let them regret it. Zhao Kiwi. Sister, are you unhappy when I say this? Chusia looked at Zhao Kiwi, who was speechless. It's not worth it if I don't mention sister. If sister is willing, I will definitely support it, okay. You. Zhao Kiwi pushed her. Am I such an ungrateful person? I'm surprised that you are exactly the same as what your aunt said. Really, Auntie said that too. She happened to catch sight of Li Aiwan entering the hall to deliver something, and Chu Xia waved to her happily. Auntie, Auntie, come here quickly. Li Aiwan quickly put down what she was holding and ran in hurriedly. What's wrong? Hug. Chu Xia stood up and hugged Li Aiwan and patted her. It's not that the same family doesn't come into the same house. We even talk the same way. Auntie, we are so destined. Li Aiwan looked at her daughter with a question mark, wondering what the hell the guy holding her was doing. Zhao Kiwi smiled helplessly. When Chu Xia asked me about the article, I told her that my mother had kicked out the matchmaker, and then she said the same thing that my mother said to me at that time, which surprised me. Come on, what Xia said is exactly the same as what mother said. Really? Li Aiwan looked at Chu Xia with surprise. Xia, my aunt's love for you is really not in vain. Chu Xia. Does this have anything to do with whether it hurts her or not? What's going on? Zhao Yulan, who came in to deliver something, looked at her sister-in-law and her daughter in confusion. I saw you two hugging each other as soon as I came in. It's really scary. Zhao Kiwi recounted what happened just now. Yes, this matter should be left to the Wen family. No matter what happens in the future, we can't agree to it as soon as they say it. Otherwise, they may not know how to be happy in the future, Zhao Yulan said while looking at Li Aiwan. Sister-in-law, you did the right thing. Yulan, that's what I think. I don't care if the two children talk about it alone. But if his family wants to come over and mix in, I will never agree. He used to dislike us and wanted to climb high, but now that our daughter has passed the exam and his son has not, he thinks that our daughter is good enough for his son. Doesn't he take our family too seriously? What? Chu Xia looked at Zhao Kiwi with a surprised look on his face. You didn't pass the exam. As your tutor, he didn't pass the exam. Yeah, he was quite unlucky. He had a high fever during the exam days and didn't perform well. He said he would continue to take the exam in the fall and go to the same university as me. This is really. Chu Xia scratched her head, he'd twice, and said no more. Originally, she wanted to say that, but it really hit the Wen family's eyes. Then she thought again, maybe Wen Zhang would be her brother-in-law, then she'd better keep her words virtuous, lest Zhao Kiwi feel uncomfortable. At the beginning, he couldn't accept it. Zhao Kiwi glanced at Li Aiwan and hesitated for a while before saying, after all, it was under his guidance that I was able to achieve such good results. I am very grateful to him and understand him. I was in a good mood at that time, so I went to his house to persuade him. He was quite decadent at the time. Thinking of the previous incident where you were replaced, I wondered if he had also been replaced, so I went with him to the education committee to investigate. Facts have proved that he did not perform well, but after all this trouble, he felt a lot better and decided to pass the exam next time. It's me. Looking at Li Aiwan again, Yu Kiwi smiled coquettishly. I made an agreement with him to let him go to the same school as me and come to find me. Li Aiwan's face dropped. You mean you agreed to his family coming to propose marriage? No, Zhao Kiwi waved her hands repeatedly. I'm not that unreliable. I just made a private agreement with him that he would go to the same school and be with me, and I didn't ask his family to propose marriage. He also explained to me the matter of proposing marriage. It was because his parents noticed that he always came to me, and they were manipulated by others, so they did it without telling him. Afterwards, he also told me about his parents, and I had done it before. I didn't dare to tell my mother because I was afraid that my mother would be angry. You damn girl, Lee Aiwan was so angry that she slapped her daughter hard. Fortunately, Mom didn't say anything too extreme. Otherwise, how could you ask Mom to sit with the Wen family in the future? If Mom really said something that went too far, I won't be able to sit with the Wen family in the future, so I won't be with Wen Zhang. I just want to thank him for helping me and want to comfort him and ask him not to give up. It's not his fault. If you don't want to get married, what does mother have to worry about? Damn girl, Lee Aiwan, who was still angry, slapped her daughter again. Your mother and I came here when I was young. Do you think I believe you when you say that? If you really went too far and stopped you two from being together, I wouldn't believe you would be like this. Otherwise, raising children is a debt. You are really the master of debts to your mother. Mom, you have wronged me so much. Zhao Qiwei looked at her mother with a grieved expression. I really think so. I really just want to comfort him, and I really won't make it difficult for my mother. Sister-in-law, Qi Hui has said this, so that's what she must have thought. Besides, it's not that far yet. See how angry you are. Zhao Yulan comforted her while smiling. I think my sister-in-law is angry at my daughter. Do you feel reluctant to become someone else's family? Li Aiwan, who was said to be the central concern, simply admitted frankly, yes, since I have been raised so big, she and I are separated from each other. If I don't tell the truth, how can I feel in my heart? Mom, I'm not separated from you. I just don't want you to worry about it. If my feelings for the article are really that deep, I will definitely tell you. However, you can now understand how Aunt Luo feels, right? Zhao Qiwei hugged her mother affectionately and whispered, you have to comfort Aunt Luo, she is definitely not feeling well either. Mom knows, do you still need to teach me about this? Li Aiwan pushed her daughter away. Okay, you guys can chat here while I see if there is anything else outside. I'll go too. Zhao Yulan then followed. Sisters Chu Xia and Zhao Qiwei were left in the room again. They looked at each other and both laughed. Unexpectedly, they unintentionally solved such a knot. After the things were moved in, everyone started to organize again. Chu Xia and Zhao Qiwei went to sit in the car outside. This time, Luo Xiaoxian, who couldn't get involved, also followed. Chu Xia told her what happened just now, and finally said, you have to coax the fat ant. She must be feeling uncomfortable now. How sad is it to raise such a big girl and suddenly become a member of the family? Luo Xiaoxian sighed and said, I can feel that my mother is feeling very uncomfortable. Although she always smiles at me, she can always see faint tears. It makes me feel so upset that I don't want to get married. The impulse are 1152. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 975. Popular recommendations. For synchronous reading on your mobile phone, please visit. One update arrived. That's not possible. Zhao Qiwei was startled by Luo Xiaoxian and said quickly, if you don't get married now, Aunt Luo will be even more uncomfortable. All mothers have to go through this step, and it will be over. Look, my sister-in-law seemed to be worried about something when she got married in early summer, but how good is her life now? I guess she would find it funny when she looks back and thinks about how she felt at that time. She just said it casually. Do you really believe it? Chu Xia looked at Zhao Qiwei speechlessly. If you really don't let her get married, do you know that she will cry to death now? Hate. Luo Xiaoxian rolled her eyes at Chu Xia with dissatisfaction. How can I be as worthless as you say? Indeed, it is impossible not to get married, but it is true that I feel sorry for my mother. But as Sister Kiwi said, when her daughter gets married, the mother will definitely be reluctant to part with her, but if her daughter lives a happy life after getting married, all the reluctance will turn into joy. Therefore, the most important thing I should do is to get along well with Zhao Qiliang after we get married, so that my mother feels that my decision is the right one, so that she can always be happy. Yes, that's how it should be, Zhao Kiwi quickly agreed. This is when I really figured it out. But sister-in-law, please don't call me Sister Kiwi from now on. Wouldn't that make things confusing? The word sister-in-law made Luo Xiaoqing's face turn red to the root of her neck. She followed Chu Xia and called Zhao Kiwi sister. After getting engaged to Zhao Qiliang, Zhao Kiwi mentioned that she wanted to change her title. She was embarrassed and said that she would wait until she got married. If it was changed again, the other party probably felt that calling her sister-in-law was awkward, so she acquiesced. Therefore, the two parties still used the previous titles. When the other party called her like this, she really felt the reality of getting married. This feeling made her feel embarrassed and more excited at the same time. From then on, she and Zhao Qiliang were a couple protected by the law, and they would never change again. The other party doesn't need to be nervous, and she doesn't need to be confused. This feeling is so good. Zhao Qiliang happened to bring snacks to a few people. When he opened the car door, he happened to face Luo Xiaoqing, who turned to look over, and then, he was stunned. Seeing her eldest cousin's stupid look, Chu Xia pushed Luo Xiaoqing and said jokingly, "Go down and give my brother a hug and let him take his soul back." Zhao Qiliang's face turned red as he stuffed snacks into Luo Xiaoqing's arms. "Eat something if you're hungry." After the words fell, he turned around and ran out. Chu Xia yelled mischievously from behind, "Brother, you only feed your sister-in-law, and don't you give me and my sister a share? It's too much. As soon as I get married, I only see my wife and no sister. Hey, what will I do in the future?" Zhao Qiliang staggered and quickly disappeared behind the door. Chu Xia curled his lips and said, "I have forgotten my sister after marrying my wife. Hey, sister, from now on we will hug each other for warmth." Zhao Kiwi pushed her. "Okay, don't push me. My sister-in-law's face will bleed if she gets red again." Luo Xiaoqing explained anxiously, I am hot. It's a bit hot today, but..." Chu Xia curled her lips at Chu Xia, who was only wearing short sleeves. "We're not even hot in long sleeves. Why are you so hot? Hateful." Luo Xiaoqing looked at her bitterly, "If you weren't a rare animal now, I would really scratch you to death. When did I make fun of you when you got married? Fortunately, I am a good friend. I know how to add insult to injury. If I don't like you anymore, I won't get along with you in the future." Chu Xia answered with a smile, I know, now that my brother is with you, you won't want to talk to me anymore. It's okay, I won't argue with you." Luo Xiaoqing. Zhao Kiwi smiled and pulled Chu Xia's hair, "Stop teasing her." He turned to look at Luo Xiaoqing, "Sister-in-law, don't worry, Chu Xia and I will not be jealous of you." Luo Xiaoqing. "Are you trying to stop teasing her? Okay, are you kidding her?" Then she would tease her back, restraining herself from being unnatural. Luo Xiaoqing looked at Zhao Kiwi with a smile, "Sister Kiwi, when do you and Zhang Wenyuan plan to make an appointment?" The smile on Zhao Kiwi's face suddenly froze. Chu Xia glared at Luo Xiaoqing angrily, just because she was worried that this guy was talking nonsense. She had just told her about Zhao Kiwi and Wenjiang in a hurry. She was laughing and joking at the time, but she didn't listen. Where did it go? What did I say wrong? Luo Xiaoqing was also a little panicked. Looking at their expressions, it was clear that there must be something wrong with what she just said, but at that time Chu Xia clearly said that Zhao Kiwi and Zhang Wenyuan were they like each other, but they are not satisfied with the Zhang family's parents. You misunderstood the relationship between me and him, That. After a pause, Zhao Qiwei smiled bitterly. He found a girlfriend as soon as he entered school. Ah, Luo Xiaoxian looked confused. Didn't she say she failed the exam just now? Why did she enroll in school again in the blink of an eye? Could it be that the way she listened was wrong? No matter what, apologize first. I'm sorry, I just asked out of the blue. Don't be angry with me. Looking at her look, she didn't understand where she was wrong at all. Chu Xia was so angry that she punched her. Did you just listen to us with your head on? It's okay. Zhao Qiwei's face changed to a bright smile, and she patted Chu Xia comfortingly. It's all over, it's okay. Xiaoxian must have automatically substituted the article into Zhang Wenai Yuan just now. She looked at Luo Xiaoxian and explained. He said, after Zhang Wenai Yuan entered school, he changed articles to help me tutor. When Zhang also took the exam with me, but because he didn't perform well, he had to continue working hard. Luo Xiaoxian was confused, but she didn't dare to open her mouth again, for fear that she would say something wrong. However, Zhao Qiwei couldn't stand it and took the initiative to explain. When Zhang Wenai Yuan wrote to me saying that he had a girlfriend, I couldn't accept it and I was in a very bad mood. After a while, he went to the county to find Suqin to relax. On the way back, he happened to meet Wen Zhang. He lived next door to my second aunt's house. I often met him when I went to my second aunt's house. When we met, I naturally said hello, and then he asked me how my review was going. I was in a bad mood at the time, so I just said it was just so-so. Then he took the initiative to help me review. My foundation was indeed not good enough, and I didn't want to fail to get into college and make the Zhang family laugh, so I agreed. Over time, we became more and more familiar with each other. He was quite good at comforting people and had a better personality than Zhang Wenai Yuan. The relationship between us gradually became closer. After he told his parents, they found him behind his back. I said that I didn't want the article to distract him before the exam and asked me not to delay him. I also want to save face and won't let Wen Zhang give me guidance. He is very insistent. No matter what I say, it's just one sentence. It doesn't matter if you don't want to see me. When the exam is over, if you ask me to disappear, I will never be there. An eyesore in front of you. It was because of his words that I decided to try it with him. As for the attitude of his family, of course I didn't like it, but it seemed like every family was like this. Didn't the Zhang family start out enthusiastic before, but immediately cooled off when they heard I didn't get into college? So, I think very clearly that if you want to be respected by others, you still have to be capable. Therefore, I am writing this article now in the hope that he can use this as motivation. After all, he has helped me, and now it is my turn to help him. As for what will happen in the future, that is impossible to say. My sister's tone makes it sound like she has seen through the world of mortals. Chu Xia spread her hands. However, I agree with what my sister said. Luo Xiaoxian looked confused. Let me put it this way, I'm not sure whether I want to change my job. Originally, I really wanted to change my environment, but now. Okay. Chu Xia interrupted her with a look of helplessness. You should think about the marriage first, and put the other things later. Also, what my sister said depends on the person you're with. My uncle, aunt, and brother are not the kind of snobbish people. No matter how you develop, they will definitely have the same attitude towards you, so don't take everything on yourself regardless of whether it's okay or not. It's a trick, it's different, you know? I don't understand. Luo Xiaoxian curled her lips at her. In my opinion, when the teacher took a fancy to you, you were just a little rural girl with no specialties or abilities. That means that in the future he will not blame you for your lack of abilities. If there is a change, why do you have to work so hard? Chu Xia. Well, she originally explained so many things as if she was talking to a cow. Forget it, She was too lazy to say anything. Some things still have to be experienced by oneself in order to understand what is the best way to do it. So she should choose silence is golden. Are you unhappy? Luo Xiaoxian looked at her with some anxiety. Chuxia, don't get me wrong, I'm not unconvinced by what you said, I'm just telling the truth. I really think the teacher likes you because you are you, no matter what you look like, he still likes you, that's really how I feel. Okay. Chuxia interrupted her. Funny, you still said that we are the best. Am I such a narrow-minded person? I just feel that what I explained to you before has turned a deaf ear to me. I'm too lazy to repeat it to you again. And I also feel that some things may have to be experienced by oneself in order to feel better, so I won't ramble on. She looked under the car. I want to go for a walk, it's so good, the weather and the temperature are good, so it's a shame to sit in the car. The three of them got out of the car and went back to the new house to look at the decorations. They agreed to have lunch at the Great Bright outside the courtyard, so the three of them strolled there first. Sister-in-law. The pretty woman who was coming towards her saw Chuxia and ran over with a look of surprise on her face. When did you come back? I didn't even hear it mentioned by the teacher. If I knew that my sister-in-law was back, I would definitely go there. Visit R1152. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 976. Second update arrived. The woman who came towards me was Oug. Neither Luo Xiaoxian nor Zhao Qiwi recognized her, so they looked at Chuxia with confusion. The meaning in their eyes was obvious. Is she a friend or an enemy? Give me a word. Hello Oug. After greeting each other with a smile, Chuxia looked at Zhao Qiwi and Luo Xiaoxian. Sister, Xiaoxian, this is Oug, Zhou Mikang and Zhou Hanliang's work partner. Hello, I am Luo Xiaoxian, a good friend of Chuxia. Hello, my name is Zhao Qiwi, Chuxia's cousin. After hearing Chuxia's introduction, Luo Xiaoxian knew who the other party was, and the alert look on his face faded. Zhao Qiwi didn't know the relationship between Oug and Zhou Mixang and Zhou Hanliang, so he still looked serious when he said hello. Hello, you two. Oug hurriedly exchanged greetings with the two of them, then looked at Chuxia with a smile. There is a photo of my sister-in-law on the teacher's table, so I recognized it at a glance. How could my sister-in-law know that I am Oug? I took your call. Ah, Oug looked at Chuxia in surprise. My sister-in-law has a very good ear, right? My hearing ability is still good. Anyway, as long as I hear the sound, I can definitely distinguish it. Chuxia smiled playfully, but you can also think that I am bragging, because the name you just called me I can basically guess who you are. Sister-in-law, you are really humorous. Oug hesitated, looked at Chuxia and asked, where are you going, sister-in-law? If possible, I would like to treat my sister-in-law to a meal, is that okay? Thank you for your kindness, but we can't do it today. Chuxia pointed to Luo Xiaoxian beside her. Xiaoxian is getting married the day after tomorrow, and all the elders in the family are coming over. We will go to the hotel first to wait for everyone. Of course, if assistant OU I don't mind. You can come with us. Then I'm not welcome, Oug said while holding Chuxia's arm affectionately. Luo Xiaoxian and Zhao Qiwi looked at each other dumbfounded. I really don't know what to say, is this so rude? After finishing their lunch, Oug looked at Chuxia flatteringly, sister-in-law, I guess you need to take a lunch break. My dormitory is still very quiet. How about you go and join in? Chuxia had long guessed that she must have something to say if she followed her so shamelessly, but she also wanted to know what the other party planned to talk to her. Just agreed. At this noon. Naturally, everyone could see why Oug came here, but after all, they were not familiar with her, so they were a little worried. When Chu Xia agreed, they all looked over with disapproval. Xia, you go to Director Ou's place to rest. What should Director Ou do? Zhao Yulan looked at her daughter angrily. Why don't you let your brother take you home? Lin Wenbin quickly answered, yes. You'd better go home and rest, otherwise your mother-in-law and old lady will also worry about you. Hello everyone. Oug stood up and bowed deeply to everyone. I'm being ignorant today, so I'm really sorry to bother you so presumptuously. However, I promise that I have no ill intentions towards my sister-in-law. Indeed, I have something I want to discuss with my sister-in-law, but it is really not something bad to her. I have some personal emotional doubts and I need to ask my sister-in-law for advice. I also know that this is inappropriate at this time. However, I don't know when I will meet my sister-in-law next time. I don't know if she has time, so please believe me, okay? Father, mother, eldest brother, don't worry, I know a little bit about Oug's affairs. I'll chat with her for a while and then take a nap. I can't get involved anyway. It just so happens that this way, my sister and Xiao can be reunited. Kian will help you, and I will go find you when you fall asleep. Lin Wenbin said without any hesitation, I'll send you there. Oug and Lin Wenbin had known each other for a long time, and had known about Lin Wenbin's relationship with Chu Xia for a long time, so she answered with a smile, Captain Lin, don't worry, I will definitely send your sister back unscathed. Lin Wenbin glanced at her lightly, no, it's safer for me to deliver it myself. Oug. She didn't expect that the usually smiling leader Linda would be so difficult to speak. Daking, this is a girl control. Thinking like this, she became even more envious of Chu Xia. This was probably him. The kind of beloved one you're talking about, right? She already has a husband who dotes on her and treats her like an eyeball, and a group of relatives and friends who dote on her. Comparing this, she feels so pitiful. Lin Wenbin took the two of them to his dormitory and looked at Oug with a matter-of-fact expression, my sister is a stranger, so she can stay more at ease here with me. Oug. Chu Xia tried hard to hold back her laughter, and finally did not dismantle her eldest brother in front of him. But speaking of it, his eldest brother was really a neat person. He kept the dormitory in good order, and most girls were not so diligent. Brother, isn't Sister Yuan Hui cleaning up your place for you? Suddenly thinking of this possibility, Chu Xia immediately asked. No, I packed it myself. Lin Wenbin stretched out the quilt for her, come and sit on the bed and listen. He turned to look at Oug, I'll give you 15 minutes. Next door is Zhou Han Liang's room. I'll go to him, sit there for a while. Does this mean that he will be back in 15 minutes to chase people away? The black lines on Oug's head deepened a few more times, and she discovered that the sister-in-law was no worse than the wife-in-law. Sister-in-law, Captain Lin gave me 15 minutes, so I'm wordy. I just wanted to ask you if you know the news about Zhou. After saying that, Oug quickly added, no matter what kind of news it is, I can accept it. Chu Xia shook her head, I really don't know this. Master, I didn't tell you. Biting her lip, Oug lowered her head and asked with a guilty conscience, didn't I tell you if there is any news about Yamiru? No. Oug had a look of disappointment on her face. She had been shameless until now because she felt that with Mr. Zhou's love for his wife, he would definitely tell her the news. It seemed that Mr. Zhou didn't lie to her. He really didn't have Yamiru and Yamiru. News from Zhou. Or we should change the angle. No news can be considered good news. At least, she still has something to look forward to and something to think about. Thank you, sister-in-law. Oug looked at Chu Xia apologetically. I asked Zhou before, teacher, when he told me that he had no news, I thought he was afraid that I wouldn't be able to accept it and deliberately didn't say anything. I'm sorry, I misunderstood Mr. Joe and bothered you so much. She said, embarrassed to continue. It's okay. In fact, I guessed that you might be asking me about this matter, but I felt that with your channels, you wouldn't need to go to such trouble to inquire about this matter. I didn't expect that it was really. Chusia sighed softly and said nothing further. She couldn't understand Oug's obsession, but there was no need for her to persuade him. Sister-in-law must think I'm very stupid, right? Oug smiled bitterly. Actually, I don't even understand what I'm thinking. I know clearly that Zohai doesn't like me and can't be with me no matter what, but I just can't help it. To worry about him. Inquiring about his news does not mean that I must be with him. I just hope to get news about him. As long as I know that he is safe, that is enough. Chusia sighed, you really love Zohai? Yes, I like him, but it's a pity. Oug sighed and said, actually, I also understand that my persistence is very meaningless, and he won't care about this kind of care, but I just can't control it. Own. These days, I always dream about him being in danger, otherwise, I wouldn't be so anxious to hold on to my sister-in-law and not let go. After a pause, she looked at Chusia pleadingly, sister-in-law, if you have his news, can you let me know? Okay, Chusia nodded, if I really have news about him, I will definitely tell you. To be honest, this is the first time in my life that I have seen someone as infatuated as you. Is this the first time you've seen someone as stupid as me? Oug scratched her head in confusion. My mother was so angry about this that she didn't even bother to pay attention to me. I also wanted to clear my mind, but I couldn't control it. The people who live here are thinking about him. I also want to understand. As long as I know the news about him and know that he is safe, I will not waste my time on him in the future. I will listen to my mother and find a suitable man to marry. Let me parents can also save their worries. Chusia declined to comment on this. If letting go was that easy, she wouldn't have to go out of her way to find out the news. After Oug finished speaking, she realized that her words were too unconvincing, so she smiled sheepishly, sister-in-law, please rest, I won't disturb you anymore. Thank you so much for today. You're welcome, I can't help you with anything. Chusia was also a little tired, so she smiled and said, I won't send you off. Please close the door for me, and tell my brother by the way, let him go and do his own business. Yes. Okay. In response, Oug retreated. As soon as Chusia woke up, Luoziokshan came over and looked at her with a gossipy face. Is that Oug who came to you anxiously asking about Zohai? Yeah. Chusia looked at her funny, it's not easy to hold it in until now. Are you worried about it? Being mentioned as the center of things, Luoziokshan looked dissatisfied. You knew I was worried about something, but you didn't let me come with you. Chusia, you don't take me seriously anymore. Chusia rolled her eyes at her, look at how arrogant you are, where is my sister? When Chusia asked about Zhao Kiwi, Luoziokshan immediately got excited, guess who has taken a fancy to Sister Kiwi? If it weren't for the purpose of creating opportunities for him, I would have called Sister Kiwi to join us. I didn't tell her, secretly sneaked over. To be continued. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 977. Popular recommendations. 3 updates. I've been away for such a short time, so much has changed. Chusia looked at Luoziokshan in disbelief, are you sure you read it correctly? How can such a thing be nonsense? Luoziokshan raised her eyebrows proudly, didn't that when family dislike Sister Kiwi before? We have to show them that Sister Kiwi is a hot commodity and people who like her there are plenty of them. Who is it? Chusia also became interested. To be honest, she also hoped that Zhao Kiwi could find a more suitable one. The Wen family was too utilitarian. If it happened, she would have to have a fight with them whenever interests were involved in the future. Guess. Luo Xiaoxian looked at her mysteriously. Guess. Being able to make you feel suitable means that the other party's age is not much different from Sister Kiwi's, and her character should be pretty good. From this point of view, it's impossible for her to be a new recruit. Chu Xia slapped her forehead fiercely, and looked at Luo Xiaoxian. Lu Lianbao. So smart, Luo Xiaoxian gave her a thumbs up. Isn't it him? My brother came over to help, and he came over too. The first time he saw Sister Kiwi, he was stunned. Then I discovered that whatever he did, his eyes would unconsciously stare at Sister Kiwi. When he saw Sister Kiwi carrying something heavier, he rushed over to help immediately. You said that if this look is not optimistic, then I can't imagine what is truly optimistic. The only thing I am not satisfied with is that he has taken a fancy to Zhong Hongying before, and I don't know if Sister Kiwi will mind. Sister Chi Hui shouldn't mind that he is optimistic about Zhong Hongying. The key question is whether he can win Sister Chi Hui's eyes. After a pause, Chu Xia looked at Luo Xiaoxian. I'm not utilitarian, I am a matter-of-fact analysis. If Sister Kiwi had not been admitted to college, she would have reached a higher level when she was with Lu Lianbao. Of course, I am talking from a secular perspective, but now that Sister Kiwi has been admitted to college, she will be a real public official after graduation. Lu Lianbao is now the platoon leader. We can't say for sure how far he can go if he continues to develop, but one thing is clear. His lack of academic qualifications will definitely restrict his future development. The key point is that because of the cultural gap, the two people may not have much in common, and this is quite terrible, right? Based on the above, I think the possibility of him being with Sister Kiwi is not even half. That's it? Luo Xiaoxian felt a little wilted. At that time, she was still excited that her sister-in-law had finally met her husband. After hearing Chu Xia's analysis, she realized that this was nothing more than a piece of chicken ribs. Look at what you look like. Chu Xia poked her lightly. Sister Kiwi is quite young in the countryside, but when she went to school, there were many unmarried men about the same age or even older than her. What are you worried about? That's true. In fact, I just felt unhappy after hearing about the Wen family's previous attitude. That's why I especially hope that Sister Kiwi will find the right one quickly and smash their eyes. Put her down. Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. If Sister Kiwi finds the right one now, the Wen family will talk about Sister Kiwi's utilitarianism. When the time comes, which direction do you think everyone will follow? After thinking about it for a while, Luo Xiaoxian collapsed on the bed with an annoyed look on her face. How can people be so tired in life? If you have to think about this and that, why should your life be controlled by others? Are you worrying blindly again? Chu Xia looked at her helplessly. If you say that Sister Kiwi has found a man you like, but can't be together, it's okay for you to be anxious now, and you haven't even written your horoscope yet. Are you blind? Why are you so anxious? Yes. Luo Xiaoxian sat up and looked at Chu Xia with a troubled face. Do you think my nerves are a little abnormal? Is this phobia of marriage? No one is forcing you to marry. What are you afraid of? Chu Xia rolled his eyes at her speechlessly. If my brother hears this, he will definitely not marry you, believe it or not. How can we let him know? Let's just talk about it ourselves. Luo Xiaoxian sighed. I don't have to be honest between the two of us. Marrying your brother is what I look forward to most, so how can I be afraid of it, marriage? I just feel annoyed when I think about work. I want to change to a more relaxed position, but I don't want to become the kind of dependent woman you call me in the future. Oh, I'm really annoyed to death. Xiaoxian, let's be serious. Chu Xia looked serious and looked at Luo Xiaoxian seriously. I think if you really don't know what to do about this matter, just discuss it with my brother. In fact, the reason for your confusion is on the one hand, I want to spend more time with him, but on the other hand, I am afraid that he will leave me too far behind, and the two of them will lack a common language in the future. So why don't you two sit down and tell him your thoughts truthfully and see what he says? From now on, you will be husband and wife. You should discuss everything and don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Do you discuss anything you can't figure out with Mr. Joe? Certainly. Luo Xiaoxian looked at Chu Xia in disbelief. Are you sure? What's your attitude? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at her. Do you think I am arbitrary or do you think he is arbitrary? Luo Xiaoxian chuckled. No, I think with the teacher's obedient attitude towards you, there is no need to discuss, just what you say will be whatever you say. Chu Xia wanted to refute, but found out that what the other party said was really the truth. Although many things were done in the name of discussion, in the end, it was the division commander who agreed with her. Regardless of whether it makes sense or not, it seems that she has never been vetoed by the teacher Tongzi. In fact, with the character and knowledge of the teacher Tongzi, many things can be discussed with her, but she did not do that. Thinking of this, Chu Xia herself felt ashamed. It seemed that in this relationship, she had always been the one who demanded forcefully. Not to mention that the other party was disobedient to her, even the slightest hesitation would make her feel aggrieved. Thinking about it, her character really has a strong 21st century flavor, and it's hard for the teacher, Tongzi, to endure it forever. The next day, when Zhou Mikang came back, he found that his wife's attitude towards him was very different from before. It seemed more gentle. What happened? Zhou Mikang looked at his little wife with a puzzled look. Did someone say something to you, or did someone touch you in some way? Chu Xia smiled coquettishly. It's nothing, I just realized that my previous attitude towards you was too bad, and I want to make some compensation to you. How did you find out? I must be pretty good. Chu Xia. Okay, just think of it as unnecessary. R1152.